Imagine a time when the United States did not exist. More than 250 years ago, the land we now call America was made up of 13 British colonies. These colonies stretched along the eastern coast of North America and were ruled by the British Empire. At first, many colonists were satisfied with British rule. They traded goods, farmed the land, and built growing communities. But everything changed after Britain fought an expensive war known as the French and Indian War. To recover the money it had spent, the British government decided to collect more taxes from the American colonies. The colonists were shocked. They believed it was unfair because they had no representatives in the British Parliament. Their famous protest became known by one powerful phrase: no taxation without representation. Despite growing anger, Britain continued introducing new taxes. One of the most controversial was the Tea Act of 1773. Instead of accepting the tax, a group of colonists secretly boarded British ships in Boston Harbor during the night. Disguised as Native Americans, they threw more than 300 chests of tea into the water. This dramatic event became known as the Boston Tea Party. Britain was furious. The government responded with harsh punishments, closing Boston Harbor and tightening control over the colonies. Instead of scaring the colonists, these actions united them. Leaders from the colonies gathered together and began discussing something that once seemed impossible: complete independence. In 1775, fighting finally broke out between colonial forces and the British Army. The American Revolutionary War had begun. One man soon became the leader of the colonial army. His name was George Washington. Although his army was smaller, less experienced, and often lacked supplies, Washington refused to give up. The war lasted for years and demanded enormous sacrifices from both soldiers and ordinary families. Then, on July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress approved one of the most important documents in history, the Declaration of Independence. It announced that the 13 colonies were no longer part of the British Empire. Instead, they declared themselves free and independent states. The war continued for several more years. Finally, in 1783, Britain officially recognized the independence of the United States. Through the Treaty of Paris, a brand new nation had been born. What started as 13 small colonies had become the United States of America. That struggle for freedom would shape the future of the country and eventually influence millions of people around the world. And that is how America was born.